What's up, everybody at home? Welcome back to our latest edition of our podcast, Izinja zeGame, proudly powered by MTN FC. And I'm your host. The name is Josta Dladla. Thank you guys, again, for supporting the show last week. I know that I had my boy stepping in for me when I was away. Wrote a few things on Insta, exposing me, saying that I went somewhere while I was sick. Tell me, come on. But, I know he did a great job. He interviewed, Mark Mayambela. I hear, a lot of people enjoyed the stories that Mark came up with. Tell me, thanks for coming through, my friend. And, hopefully next time I'll call you again. Don't expose me. But, thanks for coming through, bro. And let me get straight into it. I've got my guest today, one of my favorites, one of my, guys that I used to play against, and also I played with at Sundowns, and one of our best exports that we ever had in the country. I think he played for 8 years in one of the coldest countries out there. I don't know why he had to choose that country anyway, but he did it for 8 years. And he also played for Ajax Cape Town. Back in the days, it was not Ajax Cape Town, it was Amsterdam. What is it? Ajax Cape Town Spurs.
Yeah.
Played for Cape Town Spurs. Did you play for Henrik as well?
No, not really.
No Henrik?
Those were our bitter rivals.
Oh. Yeah. Matthew, what's up, my boy?
Yeah, all getting yourself.
I'm okay, man. I hope I introduced you well.
Absolutely.
What you been up to, man? What's up?
Yeah, a number of things. We've been busy in the NPO space, trying to get football clinics up and running, particularly in schools and communities that need them.
Yeah.
Also arranging sporting events, as you know.
Yeah.
I've been in the artificial grass industry for the last 6 or 7 years, which has been in education as well, and still working at Supersport, enjoying the opportunity to analyze. Yeah, I'm still enjoying it because the PSL is providing a good product. There's some entertaining games, and it also motivates me to educate myself and keep up with the game, which is very important to me.
So you watch most of the games, though? I know, being an analyst and commentary as well, you got to watch a lot of games, bro. Do you do that, or maybe you watch highlights?
So the guys who commentate, they kind of watch a lot more games than I would.
Oh.
I kind of watch highlights packages and would watch the game before. So if I'm doing a Pirates game on a Saturday, I'll make sure that I've watched them the week before. And then we do a lot of stats. We get given a lot of stats, and we've got to go onto the internet and do a bit of research ourselves. And it's important for us to follow each club in the PSL, because as much as possible, it's not always possible, but as much as possible, so that we can tell the story.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, the league is a journey.
Yeah.
So we've got to be able to tell the story and
criticize if you can.
Criticize within reason.
Yeah.
Within reason. It's always very difficult for me because I've come from that place.
Yeah.
I remember how I felt when people criticize me, and if it's somebody that hasn't played the game, it doesn't really mean much to me. But if it's somebody that has played the game, an ex-player that's criticized me, it hurts a lot more,
Oh, yeah.
And so I remember that.
Yeah.
So I've got to be sensitive to that issue.
Yeah.
And when I do criticize, I always try and offer a solution, or something to work on.
Criticize, but come up with the solution. I like criticizing, but you don't know
for the sake of it. It's not nice.
Build stadiums as well, bro. Dude, what did you not do? Build. How did even that come up? With this artificial thing that you do?
Yeah. So way back in 2009, when I was still playing, leading up to the FIFA World Cup.
Yeah.
I remember FIFA had an artificial grass seminar in Santon.
Yeah.
And even back then, I was interested in playing surfaces, because you and I, and any footballer knows, any kid that actually plays football knows how poor our playing surfaces are in South Africa, and in fact on the continent here.
Yeah.
And I've come to understand that playing surfaces are all important in practicing and perfecting your technique. And this can be about any sport that involves the ball, that rolls along the ground. And because of our water shortages in sub-Saharan Africa, I, even back then, realized that artificial grass, because it doesn't need water, is a possible solution. It's very capital intensive, it's quite expensive, but the popularity is growing. And so even back then, I had an interest in this fact, because it's not only a way to make an additional income for myself, but you're also kind of giving back and encouraging the system to, where they can, build and facilitate these fields. And you're seeing it at schools and all over the country now, where they've realized that water is an issue. We see it here in Johannesburg all the time.
Pushing, going to the sports ministers. I would like to see more of those things, like, like Kokas, Kasi schools and whatever. Are you approaching these guys and like saying, okay, this is what I have? Yeah. Just
we kind of have decided to approach corporates.
Yeah.
And their CSI budgets.
Yeah.
Because it can be a give back. Most corporates, when they want to do CSI projects in rural and areas and townships, they want to know what they can get back from it. So it's not just a giveaway. They want to know what they can get.
Or the corporate side. The corporate side.
Generally.
Yes.
Another thing is that they want to know how many numbers they're going to be affecting. So how many kids are going to be involved and so, and that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. But ultimately, from where I'm coming from, they must also understand or try and put emphasis on the quality of the give back as well. So the quality of the facility, the quality of the coaching clinic, the quality of the knowledge transfer, that's also important. It's not just about numbers.
I know you do a lot of great work. A lot of people don't give you praise. Like when I found out, I was invited to the first, I think, Legends game that were done like a year ago in Botswana. For me, it was just fun, only to find out that a lot of money that you get from that tournament, you help a lot of guys that you played with that are struggling. And I understand, there's a lot of people that if I do well, it's not about me and my family. I never care about the next person in this. What is it about you, bro? Helping out and giving back to the guys that you played with, I would say from 95, 94 till 2000. These are the guys that some of them are struggling, and you make money that you could be telling yourself, but you're giving back to some of these guys that are struggling. I know there's one of the legends that I can talk about now is Mbutu, that obviously has problems with his eyes, and you've raised 20,000 to help him go through his operations and all of that. Where is this thing coming from, Doc?
Well, yeah, I've been running a trust since 2009. So again, it started way back, and ultimately it was a give back for kids to try and encourage them to play the game. Also to include legends in that the coaching clinics, and to give the legends a bit of cash. To not all of us who have retired are delinquents. Not all of us are needing medical support. But one thing's for sure, a lot of us want that camaraderie again. We want to be part of the game still. We want to be able to see each other. So it's also a social thing,
Yeah.
It's not just about money but there is a serious problem with players not looking after their finances.
Yeah.
As well as I do, they finish football, they don't have a contract anymore, they don't have a journalist phoning them. What do they do with themselves? They start eating into their savings straight away.
Yeah. 6 months later, it's gone.
Yeah. And then what do they do? So we want to try and provide a soft landing for them, to encourage them to get involved and to give back to the football industry that has given us so much.
Yeah.
And there's a way to make money out of that. There's a way to be involved. There's a way to give back. And so it's a multifaceted project. And that's what we want to try and get momentum out of. Over the last couple of years, we've reformed our organization into Booth Africa. And one of the main pillars of our offerings is what we call livelihood restoration. So exactly that, trying to get the guys back into the game, that social, physical, financial support is there.
Are you looking at like probably maybe making one of the latest leagues available? I mean, if we play like 12 games a year, that's like a game a month. Even if it's 10,000, 20,000 a player a month, that goes a long way for a person that never gets anything.
Yes. And funny enough, when we're doing it on a national level, thanks to our partners in Botswana who came up with the idea, Clash of Legends, we're wanting to try and expand that across Southern Africa. We're already talking with Lesotho, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and Zambia. Yeah. Funny enough, there seems to be more of a need across the border for us to travel and to go and contribute over there. But we're getting a lot of interest here locally as well. And there's so many different add-ons, Josta, like refurbishments of facilities, coaching clinics for youngsters, coaching the coaches, So football is a fantastic vehicle.
Yeah.
We're using football as a vehicle. There's so many different things that you can attach to it.
It's too big. You can literally like choose where you want to take this thing.
And one of them is the expansion of a Legends League. And I was surprised to learn that it's only actually Kaizer Chiefs that has formalized their Legends games. There's no other club that has actually formalized that. You'll hear of Pirates doing something and Celtics doing something, but there's no actually formalization of that. So that's something that we can definitely look at.
Now let's talk about you, Brad. Like, I mean, where's Booth from? Like, how did football start, and who were the main guys that you looked up to when you were growing up?
So I grew up in Fish Hoek in Cape Town, and we had a very good amateur football club there that was established in 1930. So it's an old club, still very well run.
Still there?
Still going strong. There's the suburb of Fish Hoek, you've got Ocean View, and then you've got Masiphumelele. So it's a great catchment area for footballing talent.
Yeah.
And I played all of my junior football at Fish Hoek from when I was 5 years old to when I was 17. My dad was also a keen footballer, and his brothers.
Well, so defender or striker? Or
left back there.
Okay, it's a family of defenders.
Yeah. He was a right-footed player, but he put a lot of emphasis on his left foot, and that's something that I was taught and constantly drummed into my head to improve my left foot.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would often comment to me or make comments about me and say, he seems like he's got so much time on the ball. And that was because I was pretty comfortable, not perfect, but I was pretty comfortable with my left foot as well. It just gives you that extra second of time on the ball. And that's something that I've also emphasized on my two boys who also love the game.
Yeah.
Whatever you do with your right foot at training, it's same with your left.
This was something that I failed to do, bro. Like, I could never kick with my left foot ever. But I use my outside of my right foot very well. Like, I could never pick it up that, I would never use my left foot. But when did you, figure out that, you're better than most of the kids that you were playing with back in the days? When did you realize that, I can actually, take this further than it is now?
Football is a very humbling sport. Whenever you think you're ahead of the game, it brings you back down to earth very quickly. So I never was very arrogant about it. I think as a junior, I used to score a lot of goals. I used to,
as a defender.
I played striker and midfield.
Oh, you were abusing the other kids because of the height. So you've always been big. Really, I mean.
Remember back in the day, when we were 5, 6, 7 years old, we used to play on full-size fields. We never used to play on Mar field. So, there's little
how the Spaniards do it.
Little short goalkeeper in full-size goals.
Yeah.
You used to be able to chip in from the halfway, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used to love doing that. So I used to get on the score sheet often. Nowadays, you play in mini-size goals and mid-size goals and half and quarter fields.
Yeah.
Quite rightly, because that then allows youngsters to get more touches on the ball.
Yeah.
So it makes complete sense that we've changed that.
Yeah.
But back in the day, we used to play in full size. And I used to captain the team. And I think I was always a little bit ahead. I was taller and more physical than most of the kids. But I never at that stage thought I was going to turn pro. That wasn't even on my agenda, you know. It was only until we got invited to play the Bay Hill tournament. It's a very prestigious youth tournament in Cape Town, where I got spotted. Did I then realize, oh, wow, okay.
Spotted by who?
Cape Town Spurs. So Cape Town Spurs was being coached by Mich de Avre. That was in 93, 94, 95. They had won the league in 94, but then they lost the title to Pirates in the boardroom. The following year, Spurs won the double. So that was the period where I arrived at a team with the likes of Sean Barter, David Modise, David Inyati, Ronnie Zondi, Andre Arnhem. You know, so that was the kind of team that I arrived at as a youngster.
As what, 18, 19 years old?
I was 17 years old. I was in matric my last year.
Yeah.
And so I was training with these guys as a junior. So what a fantastic experience, you know. And that's how I ultimately became a professional. The then owner of Cape Town Spurs decided to sell in 1996, and he sold a lot of the quality players and then sold the franchise to John Comitas.
It's always been them.
And because of the sale of the players, a lot of the younger players got thrown in the deep end.
Yeah.
Myself and David Kanamere, Monib Josephs, Wayne Roberts. That generation then got an opportunity to start playing in the first team in 1996.
96. So your debut was in 96. Did you remember that game? Like, what did you play with?
Yeah, we played against Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yo.
BP top 8.
Fetumba and them. Was Fetumba
Isaac Shai.
Yo. Did you guys lose?
Eric Ramasike. We lost 1-0 at the old Greenpoint Stadium.
That's
so it was, we were thrown in the deep end, and we had to come up to that level very quickly.
That's when like David Ndisa and them went to Chiefs. Arenzo went where? Arenzo was overseas.
Andre, I think, went to Fulham.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. And most of those players, Sean, I think, went to the US and also eventually to the UK. I think he went to Switzerland as well.
Yeah.
So that was a quality team. And we had to now fill the gap, which was...
Falling into the deep end.
Yeah.
It's either you swim with the sharks or like, you leave, bro. Like, you guys, like, from there, your first game, you just kept on going from there or what?
Yeah, I settled in very nicely. I spent 3 years at Cape Town Spurs before there was an amalgamation between Cape Town Spurs and Seven Stars, which then formed Ajax Cape
Town.
At the time, Ajax Cape Town didn't want me. My contract was with Cape Town Spurs. They tried to send me to Mother City. It was a whole mess. And
what?
So
they didn't want you. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, the Ajax have a particular system.
Oh, yes.
They want a particular type of centre back, and I was not deemed as that particular centre back that they were looking for. They wanted a profile of player that could play out from the back and who was quick. So their centre backs didn't need to be tall. They didn't need to be good in the air. They didn't need to have to defend from set pieces. Yeah. They wanted mobile centre-backs, ball-playing centre-backs, even back then.
Yeah.
That was their profile. But nevertheless, you deal with club owners, you deal with coaches who have different opinions about you. Yeah. That's a fact of life. Yeah. So it was something that I had to accept, but I used it. I used that anger to fuel me, And so I got picked up by Sundowns as a free agent, and I then joined the Sundowns team that had just won 2 seasons, like championships in a row. And I joined.
Were you part of that? So were you there? Were you on the bench most of the time, or you couldn't even make the team?
No, I started.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I started in that third year. So I joined them in their third year, and we then won the double.
Back to back.
So Sundowns won the first year, second year, and then I joined in the third year, and we won the double. So
Play with what? Mike Manzini then?
Mike Manzini, yeah, that's right. Mike Manzini, the late Joes Mafalefo, Lavas Moflale, Eric Ramasiki, Isaac Shai, Roger Futumba, Alan Amogu,
Dude.
Daniel Madao. These were the types of players that I then progressed from Spurs to Sundowns, and I was like, wow, I'm in heaven. How can I not take advantage of this?
Just talk about the coach. Who has the coach?
The dollars are.
How was it working with that dude, right?
Yeah, no, it was interesting. He had a different way of training, and especially recovery. At the time, you think you are being taught, and you think that you're in the presence of somebody who's really knowledgeable about the game.
Yeah.
But as you progress in your career, you look back and you realize that actually, you could have progressed so much more if the coaches back then were up to date.
Okay. They just kept with, they understood the game a certain way, and they kept with that for the next 20 years. They never kind of like developed even better. Okay, I see what you're saying.
And back then we as footballers and fans, we were more interested in the person's character. Instead of his actual knowledge, his ability to transfer knowledge to a player.
Yeah.
And so we got caught up in these personalities. But in actual fact, I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't offer me more as a player. Like, I'll give you an example. At the age of 31, 32, sorry, I was when I arrived back in South Africa from Russia.
Yeah.
I then joined Sundowns, and then I went to Ajax Cape Town for 2 seasons. I got taught by the Dutch coaches there.
Yeah.
For the first time at the age of 33, 34, Josta, I learned that I needed to pass to the correct foot. I was like, what? And this opened my mind to the lack of development actually in South Africa. Back then we didn't get taught the right things. If we had, we could have progressed so much more. Just a simple fact that when you open up your body, and you pass to a striker or to a midfielder, it's important to pass to his correct foot. So if a defender is pressing him on the left, you give it to him on the right.
Yes,
you don't just simply pass for the sake of passing.
Exactly, man.
You're trying to make it easier for
him. Man.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's just one example of, like, at such a late age, I was still getting taught things that I should have actually been taught when I was 14 or 15.
Are you telling me that, like, they still, by 31, you only found out about that by 31? But can you imagine now, probably even now, these boys are not being taught those type of things? Because as a striker, if you have players that think for you already when they have the ball, passing you the ball and they understand, so it's like a link-up thing.
Right.
Like a telepathic type of situation when he's sitting like this, I know he wants the ball there.
Yes.
So are you saying, like, most of the coaches that are getting the licenses, the D licenses, the F licenses that they get in now, do you think they're teaching them the things that you
Well, I hope so, because there's definitely a movement in South Africa to get educated.
Yeah.
So I think things have changed without a doubt, but we've got to do it ourselves and mustn't rely on, back then I think there were a lot of frauds, coaching frauds. Now I think we have generated a fantastic base of South African coaches, not only at the highest level, but also down in grassroots, who are wanting to contribute. And
they just love the game, but they never thought they need to kind of like, empower themselves.
But from a footballing point of view, back in the day, and still to this day, I think we're relying on natural instinct still.
I know what you just said, bro.
Yeah.
It's all about, and we get away with it because we're so skillful.
Yeah.
We're a skillful nation. We see a lot of boys that can do so much on the ball, but off the ball they don't know what to do because nobody's teaching them those type of things.
That's right, and if we can get the majority of 6, 7, 8-year-olds in this country, both boys and girls, we capture them within the system, and we teach them the right things. And it's not only ball related; it's also the ability to take in instruction. So to take an instruction and then to implement it on the field, that in itself is a skill, I deal with a lot of kids at community and community level where I can see they're not concentrating.
Let me tell you something, right? You said something, we're talking about you do commentary. Analysis on TV. So when you comment on something, you say this is wrong, and now obviously you have to have a positive in saying this is wrong because you got to do this and this and that, right? And I think also with the coaching, you got to be able to say, I don't want you to run like this. I want you to run that way because of this and that and that. So there's a lot of coaches that give you a 5-3-2 formation and say, let's go play. But they don't make these boys understand the movement on the field with those type of formation. When you look at Spain play, how they press high, they don't just do it. They understand why they're doing those type of movements. Hence, they are so clinical in everything that they do. And we just copy from far, but we don't understand why that thing is being done.
There's lots of little elements to producing good footballers and good human beings, because we're not only coaches, we act as parents for 2 or 3 hours as well. And one of them, another example, is the terminology that we use. In studio, we love to use breaking the lines, tactical flexibility, and all these fancy words. When you're a coach and you're dealing with youngsters in rural areas, in Pangeni, Franschhoek, Sedgefield, all around the country, if I said to a kid, why didn't you hit it down the line? And the little kid from Sedgefield will come up to me and say, Coach, which line are you talking about? So something that's that's simple to me, I'll be as simple and obvious to a young kid, because they've grown up with different footballing language, different terminology. So we have to be very cognizant of different communities all around South Africa and the way that they view and talk about football.
Let's talk about your first salary. How much was it, bro? What did you do with it?
You have to talk about it.
I got to talk about that, bro. I got to see if, the white boys are getting paid more than the black boys. Let me see. How much was the first salary and what did you do with it?
In my case, I had it done.
How much was it?
Well, you can't really call it a salary, but it was 250 rand.
Nah, the white boys were. I think they were scammed. More than us. I thought you guys got more than us. What, $200?
So this was probably more of like a traveling allowance. So in my last year of school, I used to have to catch a train from Fischhoek to Cape Town.
The white boy catching a train?
Yeah, of course.
This guy's not white. What?
Yeah, because I got a train. So I got a train from Fischhoek to Cape Town CBD.
Yeah.
From Cape Town CBD to Parow. If you know Cape Town, that's quite a trip. So I used to carry my school bags because it's my last year of school. It was important to study.
Yeah.
And then Louis de Faria, who was the scout of Cape Town Spurs at the time, used to drop me off at Woodstock again. And I used to catch a train back late at night. So that was my experience. And that 250 rand allowed me to catch the train,
Yeah.
My first probably real salary was 1996 when I turned pro fully, and that was probably about 3,500 rand. 1996.
This guy's a scam. Right now, I honestly thought white people get paid more than us, bro. What? 2 point what, bro?
No, football. There was not color didn't come into it. It was. I've met players who were outspoken, and who knew their value, that were black, white, coloured. It was just how they were brought up, and it's just their character, So they were more demanding.
Yeah,
they knew their value. Whereas, I think the vast majority of footballers, when you're young, you don't know your value, and you're often bullied into accepting something which you shouldn't be accepting.
You just want to play the game. I mean, you get an opportunity. They know that you're desperate,
and you don't know any better.
Yeah.
I was 17 years old, and I get brought into an office with club owners who are directors and successful businessmen. You feel cowed. It's not an easy situation, and so they're in the pound seat. Definitely when it comes to negotiations, and you learn you learn from your mistakes. You become more confident. You become a little bit more arrogant. You start to know your value. And I've been around some great players like Benjamin Plombo, Mbesi Paya, Benny McCarthy, who were very outspoken. You know, they were not cowed by anybody. And I learned from that. I learned from coaches like Shakes Mashaba, who spoke truth to power. So as you progress in your footballing journey, you pick up little bits of
how you're supposed to.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, it adds to your character.
Let's talk about you. You moved to, you traveled a lot, bro. I didn't know when I read the questions and everything. I mean, you ended up in England, traveling, but Wimbledon. How did you end up there?
That was another experience. When I was at Sundowns, it was run by Natasha Chiklis.
Yeah.
My first stint, but it was owned by the Krop brothers. And the Krop brothers at the time were friendly with the owners of Wimbledon. It was actually a South African businessman who owned Wimbledon at the time. And so they arranged for me to go to Wimbledon on loan. I spent 3 months there, and the reason why I didn't play partly was because they didn't tell the coach that I was coming.
So, also the owner brought you there, but never told the coach that, okay, I want you to sign this guy.
And you can imagine, like,
training with them every day.
Yeah, I trained for the first couple of occasions, and I could tell that there was something wrong here, you know. And I picked up the fact that this coach actually didn't know, wasn't aware that I was arriving.
Yeah.
So it was an agreement between the two owners, and so it was a lesson learned. You know, when you do go on trial or when you do sign, it's important that you communicate with the coach. Ultimately, he's the one that's going to be using you.
But you don't know that. Did you go? You had an agent then, or you would? How were you working back then?
No, I didn't have an agent. So it was purely the club owners and the interaction of them. So it was a lesson learned, and it was a great experience. I spent three months in London, earned a few pounds, and then came back to South Africa and continued to play with Sundowns. When my contract was about to end, I got another opportunity to go to West Ham on trial. That's why I'm a West Ham supporter, because some of my ancestors come from that part of London, and that week that I spent there was fantastic. They're also a team that still produces good young players. You know, they put a lot of emphasis on youth. So I follow them in the EPL, and that was probably my closest I came to join the EPL. Harry Redknapp was the coach then. They were about to sell Rio Ferdinand to Leeds, and I had a very good week and I impressed them. Unfortunately, Sundowns asked for too much cash at the time, so the deal fell through. But I would have loved to have had the opportunity to test myself in that environment too.
Dude, are you aware that like there's a lot of youngsters in South Africa that get opportunities to go overseas, and South African bosses or team bosses, they end up messing up the deals because they want too much? What do you think that is? Because in Africa, I think they've got a lot of players playing in Europe because they just willing to just give them up. But we're not willing to do that. What do you think is our problem?
I think it's partly greed, and it's partly not being aware of the player's market value, and also not being reasonable. Often when players get interest from big clubs with a big budget, the natural instinct for the selling club is to overprice the player. To price the player out of the market in the hope that they will get a big payday.
But what about the boys currently?
Well, exactly, yeah. But that in my experience, that generally comes second or third in the pecking.
So you're basically saying that we basically nothing. They want to benefit, but they're not looking at. They want to see Matthew doing well. I mean, if I come from Sundowns and I'm doing well internationally, they're going to say former Sundowns player. They know that Sundowns is always good quality players. They're going to come back for 10, 30 more players because of Matthew. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ultimately, and what made it worse for me is that Sundowns got me for free. So clubs need to be reasonable. They need to say, okay, we spend so much on this player. And I'm not talking about salaries, because salaries is a service that I'm giving you as well.
Yeah.
So salary shouldn't be taken into consideration. It should be, how much have we spent on this player developing him? If you've been in the youth system,
Yeah.
how much signing on fee did we spend on this player?
Yeah.
And what markup now can we make? What sort of profit can we make? Often that all goes out the window, and a lot of times clubs are not reasonable. And I think they should also be thinking about possible sell-on clauses.
Yeah.
To make their money
in the contract.
Yeah.
Because that's what they have now in England. I see like a lot of players in England, they've got that sell-out clause. When they sign the contract, and like, if a team wants me, even if I sign you guys for 5 years, the team, if they want me, they have to pay 10 million. So it's in there. They can never come back and say they want 20 million. I think that's how most of our agents in South Africa got to start doing
work. And also games played, perhaps.
Yeah.
So I think, that was disappointing for me, because I would love to have played in the EPL.
You played in Russia, though?
Yeah, so I was there for 6 seasons, two with Rostov, and 4 with Krylia Sovetov. Viktor Bondarenko was the coach at Sundowns, and he comes from Rostov.
Okay.
Rostov was in trouble. They were about to get relegated. So myself and Gift Kampamba went over to Rostov, and we had a very good impact on the team. The late, great Jacob Lecheto had spent a number of years in Russia, and he had led the way for us to follow. Then myself and Gift kind of set a nice trend as well. And then we had a raft of other players that followed us from South Africa. So, and then I think Macbeth Sibaya spent 8 seasons there as well, also flying the flag high. So we've had a large South African and African contingent that have come from South Africa to Russia, and people still speak well of us. Just like in the US as well, in the college system.
Yeah,
South African youngsters have a very good reputation for working hard, for being disciplined, for being able to listen and not giving the coaches attitude. So we produce some great talent. And we haven't even maximized our talent. We haven't maximized our pool of talent.
It adds up to what I just told you. The more of these club owners understand that if they have to let go of more players out of South Africa, they're going to get more money. If they can just think like that. I mean, you say in Russia respects most South African players because of Wolichet and all these other players that were there before that. If they can just think that, I hope somebody can just start being positive about it, and just let the players go, because not only the clubs are going to benefit, but the country as a nation is going to benefit out of it.
Yeah, I mean, agents over the last decade haven't really taken note of South Africa. A lot of sporting directors and scouts from clubs, they haven't bothered with South Africa. Only now, since the bronze in AFCON, have we been able to reignite international interest from North Africa, from Europe. You've seen it, which has been great for us. It's been great for our national team. It's been great for me because I've played for my national team, and it's great for me now to say with pride, I've played for South Africa. Whereas the previous decade, it wasn't so great saying, I'm an ex-South African player, played for Bafana. It didn't fill you with pride.
Yeah.
And I think the latest action at AFCON has put us back on the map.
Oh, yeah.
And we still have a lot of work to do at grassroots. So we can't let that small success trick us into thinking that everything is okay, because it's not.
I'm going to ask you about the Olympics right now, but I want to talk about the salary issues in Russia, bro. Like, they used to pay you with the briefcase. I know there was some mafia business happening there. Is that true, though? I hear, signing on fee used to be put up somewhere in the roof, in the ceilings. Is that really true?
So, in the 90s, after communism, it was like the Wild West. Like, it was really... Well, not a lot of gangsters around, trying to secure their territory. When I arrived in 2002, everything was kind of settled. But once in a while, you would hear of stories of guys going missing, you know.
Whoa.
So you knew there was always like a underlying dark side to Russia, you know? Especially in Rostov, where I went to. I had a bad experience there when my contract came up. The club owner didn't realize that I could actually move for free in the last 6 months of your contract. There were 3 months to go, and he realized suddenly that he could lose me on a free. I got chased in a park by local gangsters who were driving a Mercedes-Benz with a Kalashnikov in between the seats. The one guy had half his face missing. I'm telling you, Josta. So this is a true story.
What?
Because they wanted me to get in the car and to go and have a meeting with the president, to go and agree to the club that I was going to get transferred to, or to sign a renewal, you know. And I tried to dodge these guys for as much as possible, but it was a small town, so it wasn't.
What were you driving? What were you driving? Or just running?
I didn't have a car at the time, so what had happened was the club owner had asked the local telecoms company to track my phone.
What?
So that the local gangsters could find me and get me into the car and go to have the meeting.
Did you sign? Or you left?
I ended up leaving.
Did you go?
No, I ended up transferring to Krylya Sovetov.
Yeah.
For a better contract, and at the time, Krylya Sovetov had a better team. They were going for third place in the league, whereas Rostov at the time was always kind of a mid-table, lower team. You know, so at the time it was a promotion for me.
Yeah.
Although I loved my time at Rostov, we managed to get them out of the relegation zone in the first year. The following year, we got to a cup final with Rostov, which was that was unheard of for Rostov, you know. So my memories will always be good about Rostov. Southern town, the weather was a lot warmer, the food was great, the people were fantastic, and so I enjoyed my football there.
Yeah,
but that was just one of the sort of. Now it's funny, but at the time it wasn't.
That's scary. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you're a foreigner. I even went to the extent of contacting my embassy, just in case they didn't find me. Yeah.
So your teammates used to tell you that, hey, you don't mess around here, you might disappear.
You hear stories. I think as a footballer who's well known in the city, you have a fair amount of protection.
Oh yeah.
You know, but you're a foreigner. You're in a place of you're exposed. You know, you don't have your support.
Of course, yeah.
You on your own. Yeah. Really. So you just have to tread carefully and make the right decisions. But yeah, that was one of the more interesting experiences.
So I know we don't have a lot of time now, but we spoke a lot about you, like, you know, teams that you played for. And there was a generation of, like, you know, under 20s, under 23s. For me, that was a special generation. Up until you guys went to the Olympics in the early 2000s. It's 2000, right? Yeah. You captained a squad that beat the Brazilian team. That was like the favorites in that tournament. And that team, the Brazilian team, I think had like Ronaldinho. I don't know who else, like, you know, you'll tell me. But what was it about that under 20 and under 23 squad that was so good? I mean, you guys had, like, you know, flair. Anybody could put anybody in front of you guys, but you guys would beat them. And, like, just tell me about that squad, bro, and the coach as a whole. Like, you know, what is it about you guys?
So first of all, we had a coach over a period of 6 years, the same coach over the period of 6 years. So it was Shakes Mashaba, Kenny Ndlazi, and Josta Dladla. So 3 coaches for 6 years. Most of us were playing under 20s together, national team.
Yeah.
We had qualified for the AFCON in Morocco in 97.
Yeah.
We came second in that.
Yeah.
Which then qualified us automatically for the World Cup under 20 in 97 in Malaysia. We took the same team. We then had a journey over the space of 2 years to qualify for the Olympics 2000. So we all progressed into the under 23s.
The whole under 20, probably the 95%, most of 95% of that squad.
Core of that team moved across. So over a period of 6 years, we had the same coaches with the core of the same team. Using. Now, you know as well as I do what that does for team spirit, for understanding on and off the field. Have we ever replicated that again?
Nah, man. We play. Sorry to just keep that thought for me. Now we've got a tournament, maybe a World Cup qualifier next week. 4 days before that, that's the only time we bring the squad together in respect to it.
Yes. And that's the Achilles heel of playing national team football, is your lack of time to prepare. So at junior level, you have more time to prepare, but you have to have a sponsor like Sassel, who drove the program, and you have to have SAFA under Molefi Ulifant, who signed off on the deal. So they saw the Vision 2000. They understood it.
6 years before this.
6 years before. And please just bear in mind that we had that small amount of success, but the next big step wasn't taken. And that was for us to go from under 23s to the national team.
Which I think you guys, 80% of that squad was supposed to take over from that golden generation, the Kumanos and the Arenses. And it was never taken. Why do you think that happened, bro?
I think because there's no money in youth football, and there's no money in the women's game, so there's less interference. As soon as you start to talk about money, so the PSL and Bafana, so now you're talking about World Cup, now you're talking about AFCON, now you're talking about being able to sell a player because he has so many Bafana caps.
Oh yeah.
Now it starts to get skewed. Now you're getting agents involved and club owners, and now the politics starts to become a lot more serious. Whereas back when we were playing youth national team football, nobody really associated money with
the game.
That's why our women's game has had the success that it's had, because there hasn't been any money put into the game, and so there's hardly been any interference with what Desiree can do.
Yeah, everybody's fun. Hence, they're doing well.
What happened when they qualified for the World Cup?
The money issues came through, and then boom, the performance started. I see what you're saying.
There were issues.
That's why they say politics gotta stay far with the game.
You could try keep money out of the game for as long as possible. Because as soon as you introduce a large pot of money, you're going to get people who are wanting to now interfere with the process. So that's what I found, and we've got to try and keep the guys who have money at heart away from the game as much as possible. Try to keep it pure and simple.
All right, bro. We've got this part in the show that readers send us their questions, and my boss is like, I don't know, man. I think they pay them on the side, like choosing these names, Now there's it's called the reader's question, and his name is Danny Joubert from Pretoria. I don't know why they didn't take somebody from Cape Town, bro. But this guy is saying, why, in your opinion, right, are there so few white players in the game?
So this was a question that was asked recently by Pizzo Mosamani, and he had his views. I get asked this question all the time, actually. So my views is that it's not a color issue; it's a class issue. So, if you go to any amateur club, well-run amateur club around the country, at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, you will see an array of color: white, black, color, Indian, you name it.
Yeah,
all playing together. A great demographic, reflecting the demographic of South Africa.
Yeah.
There. As soon as a kid gets to 15 or 16, and he comes from a middle class or upper class background, he has a lot more distractions to take him away from the game. Sitting at home playing PlayStation, rugby and cricket at school, getting into business, education, taking education more seriously. Now he has a girlfriend, he or she, they have a girlfriend. Maybe they get into drugs or start spending more time in the pub or whatever, And so to keep those players in the game, we have to make sure our system is sound. We have to make sure that the referee turns up to the game. We have to make sure that there's no age cheating. We have to make sure that that kid has an opportunity to progress. We have to make sure that there's good coaching, etc., etc., etc. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So we're losing a lot of middle class and upper class kids. White, black, colored, whatever color. We're losing them.
They're like, this kid, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Favoritism, all those type of things.
They have other interests. Whereas kids from lower LSMs, kids from poorer backgrounds, don't have so many options. So they generally stick out. They stick it out. They're more hungry to make a success out of the game as well. That's something that I've battled with my two boys, Nathan and Noah. They've grown up in a golf estate. So I have to keep on messaging them and reminding them that the kid from a township is going to be more hungry than you. How much do you want it? Do you really want it? And
so also the office is thinking that the guy from Ekasi is more hungry than the guy that comes from the golf estate.
That's right.
But also, let me play those.
I mean, when I say hungry, I mean hungry for the game, hungry to make a success, willing to go through brick walls to get there,
Yeah.
And that's so for me, it's a class issue. It's not really a color issue.
Okay. So guys, as you know, this is the MTN semi-final weekend. You know that, the Steadies are shocked, like, the Pretoria boys by 1-0. A lot of Pretoria boys are not happy with that. And Pirates also was shocked by another Cape Town team, which is Cape Town, FC Cape Town. And we've got one of the MTN ambassadors, one of the Sundowns. I think man is not happy because he just got beaten by the Steadies.
No, I've got my team.
What's the team? What? Cape Town Look at this. This guy is a sellout. He's all
Cape Town City. Yeah, as legends. I mean, I'm representing them.
So
yeah.
As a last legend standing.
So I'm with them.
Oh, you still there? You think you want to win this one?
I will go all the way. They did well. I think going to Orlando this weekend. They will do well.
Okay.
I mean, playing against Pirates.
Yeah?
No, I'm telling you.
But let's look at it this way. The way Cape Town City played that game.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like it was attack after attack towards the Pirates defenders. Pirates defenders, they were defending very well. Yeah. You gotta admit that game was not easy for Pirates.
Yeah, I think because also of the weather, Cape Town, because day before the weather, I mean, they cancelled the game. So Cape Town City, they know how to play there. So it was a bit difficult for Orlando Pirates, to be honest.
Why Pirates? Why?
No, listen.
You listen to this guy. Give them credit. If they did well, it's not about the weather. I mean, both teams are playing in the same weather. So why are you trying to say that?
You're right by saying that teams are playing there. But I mean, those guys, they live there. City.
Yeah.
So kind of games, because there was a little bit of windy there. Yeah, and Pirates, I mean, they don't normally play in such.
When I win a fella, so you can win that. What is it? 250,000 to give that to the community. You know that, like, MTN.
No, 180. Yeah.
So like, if you win the money, bro, like, what you gotta give back?
Yeah.
To where? What would you do with your money, bro?
No, definitely there's a charity that also needed my help.
Yeah.
Especially others financially, and I couldn't help. There's certain department that I helped. Even last season, I was with Dennis. I could only get 20,000.
Yeah, because you lost.
I lost. former team that I used to play before professional. So those are the ones that I gave them soccer kit.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Football equipment.
Yeah.
So they were happy to receive those. So I've got a lot. of people that I need to support.
So, by the way, if the guys, even if they lose, so the winner gets what you said, 180, right?
Yes.
180,000.
Yes.
But the guys that lose, they also get 20,000. So there's no losers MTN, giving back. The guys get to give back to their community, and we also know that the fans can also win themselves R1 million, and there's a special number that they need to dial. What's the number, bro?
That number is *144*8#.
Yeah.
So that number, you opt in, you dial, you recharge only with 10 rand.
Yeah.
And you give yourself chance by only recharging once a week. Actually, weekly.
Recharging every
twice maybe a week.
Yeah.
And so that you can have a chance to win one of 8 million prizes, which they will be announcing the winner finally. I think during halftime, that's when they will announce the winner.
So the whole 8 million rand, so you can win like a laptop, you can get anything that you can win there, but the ultimate prize is R1 million. Let's talk about the game. You saw the game, bro. How did you see the Pirates and Cape Town City game?
Yeah, before the 2 first legs, I joked and said, let's just make the final in Cape Town. Because I could foresee that there were going to be some upsets,
Yeah.
So it's not just biased that I'm from Cape Town, but I could see the business that City did in the market. Mohocho, Chueze, really good buys. I think they did some good business. And then we know Stellies. They can sell 3 or 4 players, but they've got a nice conveyor belt of talent coming out of there, to replace.
Yeah.
So early on in the season, I think it's the best time to try and catch big clubs off guard. And certainly Stellies did that against Downs, away from home now. The slight disadvantage is that they might have to play in Durban,
So, obviously, now, it's Paris, they were playing Cape Town, right?
In Cape Town, yeah.
So, Paris, they've got an away goal. Now, City has to come out at Orlando. They need to come. They can't sit back.
Yeah.
Because, obviously, they gave away that goal.
Yeah.
Now, we're looking at the Sundowns and Stellies game. How did you see that game, bro?
The game, actually, I was expecting Stellies to play well because the past 2 seasons they've been consistent. So that's the good thing of Stellies. So I knew coming to Pretoria it won't be easy for Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yes.
And most people, they were talking about the first game that they played against Polokwane City, where they didn't score, because MTN went goals. There's goals for charity. So
Polokwane City was playing.
No, they came with the plan.
Just didn't take their chances.
They came with a plan. But if you check that game, Sundowns, they've got clear chances.
Yeah.
So they played well, just that they couldn't convert those chances. So Stellies, definitely they did study Sundowns. And yesterday, they were pressing them from top. Even after they scored, they were not sitting back, because most teams, when they play Sundowns, they sit back.
That's where Sundowns will kill you.
Yes, exactly. So they were pressing them high, and they end up, losing balls. And the goal that they conceded, the penalty, they lost the ball. They were
trying to play from the back. Yeah.
So you see, I think the plan of Coach Steve Barker
worked. So what do you think?
I think the good piece of business for Stellies was Modjela. And the fact that he's the type of attacking player that is very aggressive in the press.
Yeah.
Last season the stat was he won 18 tackles, in 27 games as a attacking player, and not just a tackle, winning a tackle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was impressive for me, and he's also very quick and speedy, aggressive, not afraid to put out of tackles, and that was a good piece of business. Considering that Reyners has left.
They've lost their Stormman.
Yeah.
We know already. Sundowns, Sundowns, they always go for those players. I thought they were gonna suffer with him going, but it seems like they just signed Cupido as well. Yes. Cupido's coming through.
Cupido.
They signed him. So
Borgi has gone from Stellies to Cape Town Spurs.
So losing the player striker that's been scoring the goals most of the, I thought it was not going to be easy, but the way they played, it was just crazy. But Sundowns also had a lot of chances. They just were not clinical again in front of goals.
I think the goalkeeper did well yesterday. I think 2 clear chances of the new striker. They set him up in the 6 yards, I think, yesterday. He had also time to think where he can take, to slot in the ball
I Baba, give credit to the keeper. We hardly give credit to the keeper, Bafethu.
When you look at Pirates and Chen, Chen did as well. He kept them in the game.
Yeah. So you gotta do that because we always say the striker missed and whatever, but you saw how quickly the defender closed the space for the striker and all of that. But goals for charity, you still doing that? You still doing that?
Goals for charity.
How much is it per goal again?
It's 20,000. Per goal. So each goal worth 20,000. So already now, since the quarterfinals, already the money is 200,000.
Yeah.
So even yesterday's game, the finals, semi-finals,
many goals.
So going to this weekend, second leg. Everyone needs to go out.
You know that like last year, MTN donated 500K.
500.
It was two. I think the goals were worth 250 or 300,000.
Yeah.
And MTN added more money to make it 500,000 to give back to the community that MTN chooses. No, we don't choose it. They go around the country looking for those NGOs. Maybe you should approach them as well.
You know what?
Never know.
It's not only I think the public don't realize how much players do for their communities as well. It's a lot of negativity when they retire. They don't actually understand how much they do for extended families and communities. But also we've got to give credit to corporates like MTN, corporates that have stood by the game through thick and thin, that are willing to give away money of this nature and put it to good use.
But shout out to MTN and Matt. Bruh, thanks for coming through. Thanks for sharing your stories with us. And everybody at home, this show wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for your support. Keep on watching us on TV. You can track us on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify. And Matt, for doing the great job that you did.
Cheers, man. I appreciate it.
And I know you went through a whole lot of stuff back in the days. It's good to see you looking good and giving back regardless of what happens. And know that we appreciate you. Yeah,
thank you.
Be my boy. I know there's a lot of boys also that out there that appreciate you. Good luck. Support the game, Bafethu. We need those goals. We need that money to be giving away to the kids. Peace out and keep on supporting. Bafethu.
Sure.